Hey there, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Happy Love Day. We'll just call it that. Whatever your status is, however you celebrate. I know a lot of people don't observe Valentine's Day because it's hyped for being commercialized and whatever. Not going to argue with that, but I also believe, any excuse that we have to celebrate love, even if it's just celebrating the love of ourselves, the love of spirit, the love of our loved ones, etc. Like, why not, right? Any excuse, especially in today's climate, that we get to celebrate love. I'm like, it's a go. It's a go for me. I hope so for you as well. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I am again Ofefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. I am a certified tarot and oracle reader. If you're not familiar with me, I'm also a former newspaper journalist. So while I love, the woo-woo, and I am definitely a spiritualist and a priestess, I try to ground myself and stay really cognizant of the facts and information, at least as much as we can glean from the sources we can trust, right? It's challenging these days, but we're getting it done, and we're going to continue to get it done. I thank you for being here with me. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe button for my existing subscribers, new folks on board. I appreciate you so very much. I take none of this for granted. I show up and I do my absolute best because it matters, and I think it matters now especially, but the exchange, I consider this an exchange. This is a community. So your presence here means everything. All right, that's it. Couple of quick housekeeping things before we get to the topics that I'm going to read on today. One, if you haven't heard about it, I did decide to launch, and I've had my first one last month, a monthly spiritual politics private Zoom call. It is a forum that Spirit led me to start, because I do believe many of us need some place that we can go, exchange ideas, think about strategies, just talk it out in a forum where we feel safe, protected. So that's why instead of doing live Zooms or something on live YouTubes, I decided to go ahead and just take it off, go to another platform and make it more private. So if you're interested in that, you want to register. My next one is going to be on Friday, March 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want to register for that, I'd love to have you, and I'll put the link to that in the description box below. Check that out. Second thing, on March 1st, many of you know Susan Lynn, absolutely love her, and we've been we've been doing some classes together over the last year, have had tremendous success. We love working together, and so we've got a new series that we're kicking off. The first one is going to be on March 1st, and it is to reawaken and realign with your soul's destiny. All right, we're going to talk about what that means, how to do it, practical exercises you can do, because again, in this climate that we're living in right now, socially, economically, politically, we have to stay in touch with our divine essence, our soul's purpose, our sense of self, because that connects to everything else that happens in life and what we do in life. So really, really excited about that class. Only $37, you all, for a session, 90 minutes with me and Susan. Can't beat it. So I will put the link to that below as well, and I hope that you will consider joining us. You will not regret it. All right, that said, let's get to business. A couple of things. How about yesterday, that revolt within the DOJ and those attorneys, because over the Eric Adams situation, right? I know you've heard about it by now. And if you haven't, all you got to do is Google Eric Adams and boom, 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 1,000 hits. We knew this was coming. We saw Eric Adams beginning to, bow and take the knee with Trump because he knew he was in deep trouble. The facts against him were lining up. He knew it was a very strong case. And so, but Danielle Sassoon, I hope I'm saying that right. Very well-respected conservative lead attorney out of New York, part of the Department of Justice. If you hadn't heard already, she was, when I say conservative, she was a part of the Federalist Society. Tells you everything you need to know right there for the most part, in addition to the fact that she clerked in the past for Scalia. Again, conservative to the max, right? So this was not that oh, DEI hire kind of thing. All of these other things that you would imagine. We'll call them F-45 today. F-45's administration would claim, around why she took that stance and decided to step away from the case. Bottom line is she got the orders to drop the charges. She said, no way, no how. That is not what I intended to do and promised to do to uphold the Constitution. And then that started a domino effect. I think if I got the number right, 6 attorneys quit the Justice Department yesterday. Like, it had a ripple effect, right? So they have got a mess on their hands. Here's what I want to go to Spirit with you all. In my last video, or maybe the one before that, Spirit was saying the guides I've been getting, SCOTUS is really in for a reckoning. Starting first and foremost with Chief Justice Roberts, right? Because at some point, all of these cases are being launched. All these lawsuits are being filed in federal courts. And at some point, some of them are probably going to wind their way to the Supreme Court as they work through the system. And the Supreme Court, especially, they are shooketh, you all. And the fact that someone of Danielle Sassoon's caliber and these other senior, really, really respected, some very obviously conservative attorneys, that they have stood up and said, this is not right. We are not going to play this game. That if they can stand up, and the idea that the preeminent body, the Supreme Court of the United States, is that, in charge of upholding the Constitution, would then waffle. I want to see what is going to happen within the ranks of some of these leading, extremely well qualified, regardless of their politics. We have bottom of the deck, the tower. This is a shakeup, you all. This was a shakeup on a different level, because remember, even with some of these federal cases, the first thing they've been saying, well, this was, a Clinton appointed judge, or an Obama appointed judge, or a Biden appointed judge, right? So therefore, of course, this is how they would rule to slow us down. That's not what happened here. Spirit, is there going to be more of a blowback or impact from the resignation of Danielle Sassoon and the other attorneys yesterday? Can't make it up. You heard me shuffling. Justice. This is going to go up. This is going to hit. And when I'm saying that, I think what Spirit is showing us is Two of Swords. They're like, Roberts and others are like, oh my God, this is coming. This is coming for us. And at some point, the conflict that we are feeling around, on the one hand, we help create this monster by giving that immunity decision. On the other hand, it's coming back to bite us. And we're really going to have, the pedal's going to meet the road. We're going to have to make a stance. And the Nine of Swords, stress to the max. They see this coming. This particular event, with all of those resignations happening, this sent a message to SCOTUS in particular. It sent a message to the country. It sent a message to F-45 and his administration. But, they hear what they want to hear. But this is going to land in SCOTUS's lap one way or another. We have, I feel like this is her. This is the Queen of Cups that's come. That's Sassoon. Because, again, she squared off against Bondi. Not against, I shouldn't say that. But she wrote her when she wrote her letter of resignation. And because by her doing that, so is Eric Adams still going to be on the hook, Spirit? Because that means those charges are not dropped. She refused to do it. There's the Six of Wands. Meanwhile, he has agreed to let, what's his name, Holman? They're going to go into Rikers Island to continue to conduct these ICE raids and have some place to house them, because they're spending way too much money to try and get them to Guantanamo Bay. They really don't have any place to put them. The Six of Swords with the Six of Wands. That's what this is. He definitely made the deal. Eric Adams did. He made the deal with Home and F-45's administration. Look, I will do whatever you need me to do. I will do it. So that's what's happening. They're gonna start. You're gonna start to see some of these ICE raids, and they're gonna try and use Rikers Island because it would mitigate the costs of all these flights that they've been doing. Seven of Swords, deception, deception, deception. It will be uncovered. My initial question was to Spirit, is Adams off the hook? He's not off the hook. Not to mention the fact that he's up for re-election, I do believe. There was some whispers about, well, maybe he should just fly the coop and switch parties, go from Democrat to Republican. And then you heard, it go back and say, well, that's just a little too obvious. Maybe he would, remain in the Democratic Party. Yeah, I don't think that's over. And the charges against him would stand now, and I don't think he's going to be long term. He's useful to F-45 right now because of the ICE situation and the deportations, the migrants. So he's useful, and New York can be useful in that regard. But that's on a timetable, and it's only going to work so far. So no, we're going to see more of that, and in terms of that ripple effect from those attorneys leaving the DOJ, that is going to still go far, and that's going to echo far out. You all wait and see. All right, next thing I want to take a look at. Did you all hear about this $400 million Tesla contract from the State Department? $400 million. In the midst of all this, cut education, cut foreign aid, cut federal jobs, But while we're doing all of that, let's spend $400 million on Tesla. Those armored cars, what they call them, Cybertrucks, $400 million. Let's do that. So then they jumped up yesterday in the news and said, oh, well, that's not really what yeah, they did put in a proposal and a bid. First of all, for what? No, I haven't been able to find anything that said why $400 million in armored Cybertrucks was even necessary. What are you going to use them for? Where are they going? So that was a big question mark. But also, remember that $280 million that Musk spent in order to get F-45 elected, right? So talk about a rebate. That was the word Spirit gave me. Oh, talk about a rebate to Musk. Here's what struck me. Musk just brought in, what's the guy's name? Joe Gebbia, Gebbia. He is the CEO of Airbnb. What else is he? A board member of Tesla. Supposedly, and according to reports, he is now being brought in as a member of the Doge team. To do what and why? Not sure. But it's really interesting that he is a board member of Tesla, billionaire, obviously, chairman, CEO of Airbnb. But there's this $400 million potential contract and proposal that has already been made to sell these Cybertrucks to the State Department. I want to take a look and see, is that going to go through? Are they going to finagle that somehow to help that go through? For entertainment purposes only, right? Gotta do it at least once or twice on these videos. We have the Three of Cups. There's some conversations being had. Because I also, in one of the articles I saw, when they put out these bids or the request for proposals, I don't know that I think they said Tesla may have been the only thing on the table. Will they, Spirit, are they going to... the Five of Pentacles. Ooh, they got caught with their pants down because, again, how do you justify all of these cuts? But in the meantime, we got $400 million to give to the guy or the guy's company that is in charge of these cuts. That would not go over well with the MAGA base. All right, Five of Pentacles. So they're trying to pump the brakes on it, and the Nine of Swords has come back stressed out. Like, ooh, how do we squeak that through? So did that kill the deal? Is that going to kill the deal? Spirit, will Tesla get that contract? We have the Two of Cups, Ten of Cups, and the Wheel of Fortune. That's business. That's business. How do we, Ten of Cups, how do we manage to pull this off? I don't think they're backing down off of that, you all. State Department, meaning this purchase, I don't think it's dead. I think they've got to figure out a different way to try and distance the Knight of Swords or Messenger of Swords, they call it on this deck. Somebody's going to ask me. It's the Tarot of the Cosmic Seed, for those of you who read tarot and collect decks. They're going to, and I wonder if that's why he brought this Joe Gebbia on as a board member of Tesla. I wonder, they're going to try and distance Elon from this deal, like try and put up some sort of filter. Ten of Wands. They're working real hard at it with the Fool. Exactly. They're going to try and figure out some way to distance or separate him from the car. But the desire to get those purchase those Cybertrucks is still in play, you all. Dang, it's just so and 8 still in play. 8 of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles. They're going to figure out, they're going to still work on a way to try and get that deal. Because remember, part of this whole exchange and the reason that Musk invested so much money was self-interest, right? Self-interest. His government, billions this man has made on government contracts with SpaceX, etc. And now this was a part of the deal. Sure, I got 280 million to spend on you because I'm going to get that rebate. I'm going to get those government contracts. I'm going to get back what I spent and a whole lot more. And the 8 of Cups. Again, that is distancing themselves. I feel like this is people within the State Department who are, they're conflicted. And because they realize they got caught. They realize this has been brought to light. But they're going to have to try and first tamp the story down and try to take attention off of it, and then on the back end of it figure out a way to separate Elon, however that means. That's just what I keep hearing. They're going to, so that they can slide the deal and not attach it to him, or not attach it directly to him, not make it seem that he was a direct beneficiary of that money. All right, last thing I want to take a look at today, you all, is Ukraine and Russia. So now we're supposed to have some negotiations, actual negotiations. We have F-45 got on the phone with Putin. And one story that I was watching, I can't remember what network it was, but the guy said by the time F-45 got off the phone with Putin, said Putin and his crew were just drinking vodka straight out the bottle. Said they were celebrating because it was so clear that they're going to get what they want. They've already, they already started making pronouncements before they even consulted or before F-45 bothered to even have a conversation with Zelensky. After the fact, this whole issue of ceding land, that they were not going to be able to go and maintain the land that they had, that it's a land grab. The idea, though, the question mark, the hitch is NATO, because what's to stop Russia, Putin, from continuing after a so-called ceasefire, continuing, it's almost like Netanyahu and Gaza all over again. Sure, we're not going to come after you. We'll call a ceasefire, but in the meantime, we're getting ready to take it all. What's to stop a replica of that from the Russia-Ukraine situation, right? So NATO is the stopgap. Zelensky and others have said, and even the European Union, the EU, and the UK, which I found out has stepped up majorly, y'all. I read somewhere 145 billion the UK has spent to help Ukraine when the US started wobbling, and it was clear that Ukraine needed, additional aid. UK stepped up big time, 145 billion that they're in it. And what I want to look at, go to Spirit, is our Zelensky is calling for the European Union to be brought into the negotiating table. He's saying this can't just be you F-45 and Putin. And you all know nothing's going to happen unless I'm sitting at the table. Ukraine has to have a seat at the table. But he's also advocating, Zelensky is advocating for a representative or representatives from the European Union, because that gives, we have the star. Okay, I like that actually. That's at the bottom of the deck, the star. So he's looking, Zelensky and the European Union are looking long term. Even if this means Ukraine is going to have to agree to lose some land, right? Lose part of their territory, cede their territory to Russia, part of it. How do we maintain security? How do we make sure? Because what's going to happen is there's got to be something to stave off Putin from continued aggression after a so-called ceasefire. Will they promise? Will F-45 cooperate? And will the European Union be brought into the negotiations for a ceasefire? We have the Two of Wands. It's like the practicality of it. And the Eight of Wands. There's definitely going to be a push for that, you all. Eight of Wands, communication, swiftness, meaning they've already, they're trying to get this going, move it quickly to get these negotiations going. And the Two of Wands, I do feel like that's, Spirit is saying primarily, from Putin's perspective especially, and from Trump's perspective, this is going to be a thing between the two of them, with Zelensky hanging on, by a thread to just get whatever he can. But I also feel like this is NATO and leaders of NATO, Four of Pentacles, saying, in order for this to go forward, if Zelensky gets the strong backing of the European Union to say, you really need us at this table. We've got to make sure that this is not just some handiwork between Trump and Putin. Seven of Wands. It's going to take a standoff and some courage. You all, these negotiations are not going to be 1, 2, 3 and done. Not going to happen. Got the Four of Cups. I know that's the Ukrainian people and Zelensky. Like, wow, how did we get this far 3 years later to wind up here? And the Knight of Pentacles. It's slow rolling. This is not going to be 1, 2, 3 and done, you all. I think there's going to be a push to get the European leaders in there as part of the deal. And I got a confirmation, Ace of Swords. Yes, there's going to be a push to make sure that they are a part of the deal, because number one, they are also financially invested already, as we talked about, in Ukraine and Ukraine's sovereignty, but also because in order for a ceasefire to take hold, there has to be a promise of military protection. Will F-45 agree to military protection for Ukraine? The Knight of Swords. Will he agree to military protection to enforce the ceasefire? Will F-45 agree to... He's going to resist it. Five of Pentacles. He's going to resist it on the basis, his whole thing is cutting costs, and what it would take, but also manpower, and also because he knows that is going to cause a real strain here in the U.S. The commitment of boots on the ground in Ukraine, as in a potential face-off if Russia does the wrong thing, and the Eight of Swords. He's going to do everything. F-45 is going to do everything humanly possible to dance around that. He's not going to want to commit to the use of military forces to keep stability in Ukraine. Gosh, this leaves Ukraine in such a crappy position, you all. And we have the King of Cups. This is somebody in Europe or NATO. Because NATO's going to have to be a part of the deal at some point. If they're giving up the land, they got to have, even if they don't get admission or acceptance into NATO off the bat, they've got to be protected by NATO allies, i.e. Europe and the USA. That's going to be the hang up, you all. This negotiation is not going to go F-45's way. He's not going to be able to art of the deal. Yeah, it's not going to go. It's not going to go his way. And to the extent that Putin is going to try and punk him to make him look really stupid and wind up giving more than he had intended to give, and that leaves Zelensky, and Ukraine in a really horrible position, that weakens him, and he will not F-45. You know how he feels about that. Spirit, is Putin planning? Is he seeing and planning a way to punk F-45 to make him come away from this whole situation looking extremely weak? Extremely weak. Is that his plan? We have the Messenger of Cups, the world. Because he already sees him as weak. Putin sees him as weak. Sees F-45 as weak. He's already played him. Come on, the man won office, and the first thing you did was put naked pictures of his wife on all over your TV stations for entertainment purposes only, right? Then the Six of Pentacles. Putin is going to play as if he's ready to negotiate, because the Six of Pentacles is very much a card about give and receive, give and take, negotiations. But he feels like he's 3 steps ahead, if not 4 or 5 steps ahead of F-45, and he's planning to. And the Nine of Wands, he's planning to outmaneuver and overburden and stress. He feels like he has the greater position of strength in this to get things to go his way. And the Three of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles, exactly. So he's looking at the land that he's going to get. He may push for even more than Zelensky or anybody else thought would be necessary to cede certain territory to Russia in order to go forward for it. But again, for every win that Putin gets, or for every, as far as he can push the marker, then that makes F-45 look weaker and weaker. And especially with the advancement of Tulsi Gabbard, Russia's girl, for entertainment purposes only, supposedly, allegedly. This is that, and see, that's where the MAGA base is going to start to go, wait a minute, because for everything they worship and adore about F-45, they do not, America first, right? America first. So the idea that America looks weak and is punked by someone like Vladimir Putin, not going to go over well. This is going to blow back on F-45 in a major way. It's going to make him look even smaller than he did earlier this week, sitting at that little desk with Elon's little boy standing there telling him to shush it. Is that what he did? Shush it. Oh my gosh, you all. Interesting times we're in. I've gone longer than I intended to. I'm sorry about that. Please, again, remember to check out the Spiritual Politics session on March 7th. And please, by all means, sign up for the Reawaken Your Soul's Destiny and Align with your Soul's Purpose class on March 1st that I'm doing with Susan Lynn. The links to those will be in the description box below. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you real soon. Be good. Bye.